so at some point, I mean, obviously both of you guys were introduced to beer at some point. And, but at what point did the two of you decide, you know what, we think we can actually sell this hobby?
Sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, I brewed my first batch of beer with you because you had gotten a kit for Christmas, and we came over and brewed at your house and had a fun time. The beer turned out not great.
Terrible.
But
we were both very respectable 21 years and older. At this point.
course.
Right. Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
You don't have to be 21 to buy the ingredients.
Right, true.
Lesson for the viewers out there.
Is that the loophole?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, no, but we did that a few times, and I really got really heavily into it. And, you know, we'd occasionally brew, you know, outside in the driveway to, you know, building kind of like a mini brew pub in my basement, and just taking over my house. Every empty closet had beer fermenting in it and bottles, and eventually I had like 10 different draft kegs on.
Wow.
And so just hobby
nice.
become,
Yeah.
you know,
And I also
the
very
dream.
quickly realized his beer was a lot better than my beer. So we were both doing our home brewing, and mine would sit around a lot longer. And my friends were not necessarily inclined to help me drink them. So
It didn't disappear as fast.
It worked out well.
Welcome back to Brew Talks. I'm Steve Stroud, President and CEO of Roswell Inc., and today is a special day. We have our Chief Executive Officer for Wellstar North Fulton with us. Also, our Chairman of our Board of Roswell Economic Development and Tourism, Jon Paul Croom, and a special guest today.
Yep. Glad to be here, Steve.
Thank you
I'm
for
excited about being on this side of the microphone.
It is. It's a little more exciting on this side of the room. So tell us about our new guest today.
Well, we have very special guests today. From Variant Brewing Company, we have the Curling brothers. We've got Michael Curling and Matt Curling are both with us today, and really excited to talk to both of them about their business at Variant. And we've got some very interesting conversational questions to ask.
Perfect. Thrilled to be here, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. It's, I've enjoyed watching the previous editions, so I'm pumped to be here on this side.
You know, the reason we do this, and we have to thank our friends at Wellstar for being our sponsor of Brew Talks. Thank you. Is to hear the stories. And that's really what it's about, because, you know, we're economic development and tourism here. Michael's a board member also. And so part of economic development, really the leading part of economic development, is telling a story, right? You're telling the story of the businesses in the community that make that economy up. Sure. And so you guys are key, and the beer industry is big. So I know you got some good doozy questions to throw them at.
I do, and I'll start this conversation. I was thinking. So yesterday I was in Athens, moving my son back in for his junior year, and I'm talking to go Dogs. I'm talking to his roommates. And telling them stories of my college, which my wife says makes me look old, but I don't think so. Anyway, one of the points I made is that, you know, when I was in school, we just didn't know what a craft brewery was. There wasn't such a thing. And while many of us do, I know some of our listeners may not have experienced this before. And so how would you first describe the business that you were in?
Want to take that one, Matty?
Sure. So obviously, you were mentioning, you know, back when you were in school, brewing was a little bit different. The state of Georgia in particular has had different brewery laws that have changed and gotten better over the last several years. There's still a few things that I think could be a lot better, but it allowed our industry to grow in the state of Georgia, and you're seeing a lot more breweries, and every town kind of has its local brewery that people are hitting, and they're more, you know, focused around downtown areas and things, whereas they used to be more warehousey, manufacturing, kind of off the beaten path destination places. But now they're like your local pub, local restaurant. You know, most of them are family friendly. You can go out with your kids. My 6-year-old loves hanging out at the brewery. So they've definitely changed a lot over the years. But
there's also a very strong community pride in having your own brew.
Yeah.
Like people talk about, oh, you're in Roswell. You got breweries up there, you know, and that's a cool piece.
It is. Sure. It's cool. And, you know, in line with what you were saying, Jon Paul, I think, you know, back to my college days, there were probably, you know, 4 or 5 beers on at most bars, and I don't know that any of them were made locally.
One was Miller, one was Budweiser.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Might have been a little Coors in there.
Sure.
Yeah.
So now, yeah, that's a neat part of, you go to different areas, whether or not you're traveling for work or recreation, you can go check in and see what are the local brews. And that was part of the reason we decided when we were brainstorming the Variant brand and product that we knew we wanted to be right here in Roswell, Georgia.
So at some point, I mean, obviously both of you guys were introduced to beer at some point, and but at what point did the two of you decide, you know what, we think we can actually sell this hobby?
Sure. Yeah.
So, I brewed my first batch of beer with you because you had gotten a kit for Christmas, and we came over and brewed at your house and had a fun time. The beer turned out not great.
Terrible.
But
we were both very respectable 21 years and older. Right.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
You don't have to be 21 to buy the ingredients.
Right, true.
Lesson for the viewers out there.
Is that the loophole?
Yeah.
But we did that a few times, and I really got heavily into it. And, we went from, we'd occasionally brew, outside in the driveway to, building kind of like a mini brew pub in my basement, and just taking over my house. Every empty closet had beer fermenting in it and bottles, and eventually I had like 10 different draft kegs on. Wow. And so just that's hobby nice. Become,
and I also very quickly realized his beer was a lot better than my beer. So we were both doing our home brewing, and mine would sit around a lot longer, and my friends were not necessarily inclined to help me drink them. So
it didn't disappear as fast.
It worked out well.
Move toward your talents,
That's right.
So when you first opened Variant, did it open at the current location, or were you selling beer prior to that, or how did that come about?
Yeah, so Variant is always been on 66 Norcross Street. That's our one and only location, and started there. We were the first brewery to open with the new laws. The first brewery to open in the state of Georgia after the laws changed, where we could actually sell beer directly to consumers. Whereas before, I don't know if you guys ever went to, go to Sweetwater and you have to do the tour.
Right.
Yeah, that was the loophole. You go do the tour and they would, give you samples of beer. But now, we can actually sell beer directly to consumers, which is wonderful.
And takeout. You can take it home.
Yeah, you can take it home. You
that was never
and we actually happen to be in the edge of the district here in downtown Roswell, where you can also do an open container. So we can sell you beer to drink on site, beer to take home in a package, or an open draft pour for you to go within the confines of that open container district. So
which is really, really cool.
That's really nice.
I know, and one of the unique things I think that has happened as we've seen you guys and your business evolve is the camaraderie ship, if that's a word, right? The camaraderie that you have with the other breweries in town.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it is really, really cool to see. I don't even say you're competitors. You're more like friends.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
And because, again, you go from one to the other. In this case, you can walk with your open container. It's really a cool thing. And y'all do a lot of things together.
Mm-hmm. We do. It's a collaborative industry, right?
It is.
There's something unique about breweries where a lot of times you'll look at a beer label in the store and they'll have multiple labels on them. So it's a industry that works well together. Because I think you're right. It's all ships rise with the tide. So we've had great relationships with those here in Roswell, and also outside of Roswell. We've done some some collabs from pretty far away over the years. But
that's cool.
It all feeds into that beer's a part of the community, right? It
part of the fabric, right?
It is. So.
Yeah.
Now, you said collabs. For some of our listeners, that's collaborations. What does that? What does that mean when a brewery is talking about a collaboration?
Sure.
So they're going to be a little bit different, depending on who you're working with, location-wise. Are you working with somebody that's out of state or somebody that's in town? But a lot of people will come together for collaborations to either increase their target market, get their beer into hands of people that wouldn't regularly get it, or, hey, we both brew awesome IPAs. We'd love to work together and do something like that. So you can come together for any variety of reasons, but it helps kind of increase your reach and, reach new customers and try new things. You can also, learn a lot from working with other breweries and see different techniques on what they're doing. With different dry hops or ingredients and
that's cool
and fun things like that. Yeah, we work with our friends at Inner Voice a pretty good bit down in Decatur as well.
Sometimes it's completely different equipment too. There's a variety of ways to manufacture beer. So sometimes when you're in another brewery working over there, they've got just a completely different system, either some European style
exchange of techniques and information.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of see what I know these guys make really good IPAs. What are they doing?
And it was great for us for a while. We didn't have a canning line too, so if we would collaborate with somebody that did have a canning line, we could get our product into cans that would get into more hands originally. Before we started canning ourselves.
Now, am I right? I'm going to throw one at him. Are y'all are 100% electric, right?
So.
Or used to be?
The brew house is 100% electric. Yes, we do have gas at the building facility for.
But I mean, as far as how you brew is with electric.
Yes. That's correct.
Yeah.
Shout out to our friends at Georgia Power.
Absolutely.
Keeping the power on.
I bet they love us.
Right.
It's unusual. I mean, there's kind of
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It is unusual.
At our size, you can speak to this probably more accurately. 7 barrels is kind of the limit of how big you could economically go with.
Yeah, for smaller brewing equipment, it doesn't make sense to do steam, which is what a lot of the larger breweries will use. It is a little bit more cost effective, but then you also have to get a boiler, and you have quarterly inspections. You have to have a boiler room. It's a whole separate piece of equipment and area that needs maintenance and extra stuff. But since we're only doing about 250, 260 gallons at a time, we can still heat it up pretty effectively using electric, or some people will use gas.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And so space is at a premium in downtown Roswell.
Yes,
so that's right. Having a boiler room in there, if you can avoid it, have some more customers come in. So,
the name Variant. How did you come up with the name?
So it's an industry term. If you, let's say, for example, our goes as our fruited sours. We take the same base beer and we use different fruits and do different flavors and things in them. Those would all be variants of that one original recipe. So, or if we take our oatmeal stout that was Dark Alchemy and we put coconut and coffee in it, that would be a variant of Dark Alchemy. It really played to kind of my brewing style. I loved having a variety of different beers, trying new things, kind of constantly rotating draft list, and we just like to experiment and have fun with it.
And we spent about a year workshopping that. I mean, if you look at the art on the wall at Variant Brewing, it says established 2015, and we just talked about we opened in October of 17. Long list, and just kept coming back to Variant Brewing.
So. That's pretty cool.
I think one thing it speaks to is the creativity that is at Variant, and that is one of the things that you guys are known for, and one of the things I appreciate. But my question is, how do you balance between the creativity piece, being able to brew the beer you want to brew, and then on the other side you have this business where people are, you've got beer that certain people want to buy. How do you balance between the financial piece and the creativity piece?
That's a great question. I think that's kind of the double-edged sword of Matt's decision early on to make a new beer every week. So Variant's now been around for 7+ years. Got an anniversary coming up in November. And with few exceptions, Variant Brewing has come out with a new beer every week. So, to your point, people they come in, they find a beer they love. They come back 3 weeks later. They need to find a new beer they love because that one's not around anymore, right?
Right.
That special is gone.
Sure. So, Matt, you can explain the way you did the menu with the year rounds, and I think it kind of meets both markets.
Yeah, well, that keeps me occupied because I do have a kind of creative mind, and if I get stuck doing the same thing over and over again, then I'll kind of lose passion and lose interest in it. So that was just a way to be active and try new things and be able to just get that creative outlet.
Right.
But we did design our menu to have, cores and then rotating and then also seasonal. So like things that weren't necessarily new, but haven't been on in a while. So, we have a few beers that we'll brew, every quarter or, a couple times a year. And then we have some that we brew that are never coming back. That's just, it's out.
One-time
come get it while you can. And,
and people still come and ask for those a couple years later, which we appreciate. It, we hate to disappoint them, but
like Shreddy Pills,
right? Shreddy Pills.
Shout out to Matt Fox.
I'm glad you remember that one. But like Matt was saying, certain things. Look at the camera, cashmere. We will not run out of cashmere. So keep the people happy. But
is there a beer that you brewed where you were surprised about the success of the beer, or a style that you brewed?
Yeah, I mean that definitely happens, right? And there's a bunch of them. I mean, for example, obviously Cashmere wasn't even originally a year round. That was just one of our first hazy IPAs that we put out that, you know, people really liked, and then it disappeared and people were like, when are you doing this one again? When are you doing this one again? And we're like, soon, you know, we'll try. And then we, you know, kept doing it. And every time it was gone, people were just like screaming at us. I had these two guys. This was actually one of my favorite quotes that I got, just because not everyone knows a lot about the brewing process, right? So I was behind the bar and we ran out of Cashmere, and these guys were like, what do you mean you're out of Cashmere? Are the brewers here? I was like, yeah, I'm the brewer. He's like, can't you just like go in the back and like whip us up some Cashmere? I'm like, oh, it doesn't work that way.
Whip it up.
We need to bring back those brewery
but we will
tours
get
so
it
people
soon.
understand the process a little bit better. Yeah.
But yeah, Cashmere is definitely one that took off that, you know, was not, you know, it's a great beer, but it was unexpected. I didn't know that was going to become such a core
Such
for
a
us
big,
that's, you know, always around.
And talk about the seltzers, though. You threw it.
Sure.
That's something that's kind of taken off, right?
Yeah. Those
Absolutely.
are taking off in the industry in general.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, there's trends and ups and downs to all the styles, right?
Sure.
And you know, if you're fortunate enough to travel some and see what other places are doing geographically, you can kind of, you know, wonder, is that going to make its way down here? You know, what's the market going to look like? But seltzers are one that have popped up. I mean, when we first opened, Gozas weren't everywhere, right? And so the Raspberry Lemon Goza is a great seller. People love it. And seltzers definitely now are having a moment. And we try to keep them on. And in the summer, we do... he does a frozen seltzer. We call it a Blizzy over at Variant.
Blizzy.
So that works on the 100-degree days where, you know, you're sitting on the patio or you're walking around. You can have yourself a Blizzy. Along those lines, you see more non-alcoholic and lower alcohol beers and things like that. Some generational shift is out there being discussed with the younger folks not drinking as much. And we try to make sure we have something for everybody. It's not something we can have 8 options on, but you know, we've done the hop water and the hop lemonade, which is non-alcoholic, and just, you know, a variety of products. I mean, that's one of the things we say. Variant is tap into variety and try to make sure we keep that variety on for everybody.
That's cool.
What is the next big trend?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. We're watching all of them. I do think, you know, gluten-free is having a huge moment. People want gluten-free products,
makes sense.
Which is why the seltzers are also on the rise. We're experimenting with some gluten-free sours as well, so that we can have something that's a little bit more beer-like, like in between the seltzer and the beer. I think Georgia's having a moment also with CBD and THC, and I see more and more places doing that. I know that there are some Atlanta breweries that are making their own products using THC and CBD. So that's definitely an industry trend right now.
Totally amazing. We were in Nashville this past weekend and saw the CBD in a bottle. They're making drinks. Sure. And I was like, what in the heck is that? Like,
you see a lot of signs for it all over, right? It's one of those things where, you know, we're not an expert on everything. We'll stick to what we know at the moment. If there's some regulatory cleanup that may or may not take place, then we'll pay attention to it. But I think whatever happens in the market, what's always surprising to me is no matter what we do, double IPAs are what's going to sell here in Roswell. I mean, we can try to do whatever we're just, they're doing this over here, it's working. They're doing this over here, it's working. And then we'll come out with 2 double IPAs in a week, and you know, there's
everybody's there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for now, that seems to be what's sitting.
What brought you to the dance, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Good. What is the from like early? You've done this for several years, since 2017. Name started in 2015. But what is the hardest early lesson that you learned?
Ooh.
Or if you were to tell a new brewer, like, we learned this.
Sure.
This is something that you may look out for.
Gosh. I could go a couple different directions with that. There were some early lessons. I mean, 2017, Georgia beer was changing, as you mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
We hadn't planned for that change to be so quick. So we had a growth plan that we planned on achieving within 24 months.
Yep.
Law changed a week before we opened. We bought 3 new fermenters the next month, and then 3 more fermenters a couple months after that. And then that was the extent of our growth plan. So, you know, in that footprint where it is, we were not prepared for the level of growth we were going to have. Now, that said, today's environment's a little different. So I think it's just got to be prepared to respond quickly to whatever may happen. And obviously 2020 taught everybody that as well. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's ironic. You guys are built on the spot where Taco Mac had their catering spot.
I heard that.
Which,
yeah.
A little history. As the mayor always says, you guys have ask Stroud. There's some history to all these buildings, but that is exactly what was there.
We actually still get Taco Mac mail every now and then.
I'm
in
not
that mailbox.
surprised.
So.
So when they, they had the catering piece out of that building, they also had their corporate office in there for quite a while. And I just think it's ironic, the beer guys, you guys go into that footprint, which is, I think it's great.
Yeah, that's a cool history. I had heard that, but I didn't know we were getting their mail. And that's
it's
neat.
the real deal. Yeah, it's the truth.
They were officially there. Well, and they did such a great job of bringing craft beer to everybody. With
they did, right?
Around Georgia. And I think for us and many of our kind of peer group, that was what we would do on Thursdays was pint night. And
Go to
you want to
Virginia
go
Island.
try something new, right?
Yeah.
And so that was an opportunity to do that.
That's cool. So what's the next step? Jon Paul talked a little bit about what's the next brews, what's the next trend, but what's the next step for you guys? Will you see another location? You don't have to tell any trade secrets. We know we're not going to get that, but we know it's such a draw for Roswell. I mean, you guys, the whole craft brewery industry, or that industry here has just exploded with bringing people to Roswell, but I see you guys having lots of success going forward.
Well, we appreciate that, and we're certainly thrilled with the way the first 7 years have gone. We have conversations all the time about what's next, right? And whether or not we're talking about getting away from the food truck model and having food, or looking at secondary locations. Right now, it's really we're kind of hunkering down. We're dialing in on some things. We're very fortunate that the majority of our staff that we have over there has been with us for 5+ years.
That's a bonus.
That's great to kind of keep delivering high quality brews and high quality service.
You've done some cool things with the patio.
Yeah,
right? We talked about that earlier before the show started. That's a great spot. People hang out. You can use it year round because you got the heaters, you got the cover.
Yep. TVs,
sure.
Yeah, the TVs. Yeah. So and your neighborhood is absolutely exploding around you, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're excited to have Southern Post behind us, and those are some of our greatest regulars that are in there. And the building a couple doors down that Mr. Romano is working on is looking fantastic.
So it does look good.
We're thrilled for all the growth that's happening over there. And when we look at our receipts, we still get 20+% new customers on a given week. So there's a lot of people still coming into Variant for the first time. So
it's ironic. I was in Nashville, ran into somebody I knew. I know my wife will say surprise. And
you know somebody everywhere.
They said, "Hey, we understand Variant's got a new neighbor, Genya." I said, "That's right." And they go, "Oh yeah, Genya." So I talked to the owner of Genya while I was up there. By the way, he's opening one in Nashville, and he said, "Oh yeah," he goes, "We use the landmark. We're right behind Variant."
Perfect.
So there you go.
Yeah,
it's working.
That's great.
Yeah.
We went and checked them out opening day
last week.
It was good.
I loved it.
It's
We used to
fantastic.
go down to the Sandy Springs location.
so good.
I'm thrilled it's right there.
It's on top of my list.
It's on top of my list to go visit and figure out how we can get Variant Brew on their draft accounts over there.
I think we might know some people.
There's a lot of good beer
See if
pairings.
we can make that happen.
Yeah, some beer pairings. I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were to have a pint of beer with anybody in history, who would it be, and what type of beer would you drink?
Ooh. Well, the second part's easy, but who would it be with? That's a tougher question.
I'm gonna give a total cop-out answer. I know there's so many great figures of history, but I would have a beer with my grandfather, who passed before I was of drinking age, and he was always more of a Scotch guy. But that would be the sit down I'd want to have with
pretty cool.
Grandpa Cal. He'd probably decline the beer and still have a Scotch, but I would have a Variant Cloud Forger in my glass, which has been my favorite since it came out over there.
Gosh, I'm so bad at on the spot questions like this. I would probably go like a musician or something like that. Like Jack Black would be pretty cool.
Oh, there you go.
That'd be a fun one. Maybe stout, dark alchemy, oatmeal stout.
Yeah. Nice.
I know you're asking the questions, but can I turn that back around on you?
I would have a beer with both of you right now, whatever you choose.
Right answer.
We can make that
Right answer.
What about I've got another fast question. What about you're on a desert island and you can only choose one beer to have, but it cannot be one of your own beers.
Okay.
What would that beer be?
Style or the exact
exact beer. This is for our beer nerds that are listening to this podcast.
And we got a few.
It's a toughie. I'm gonna have a sip of water.
I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but I'd probably crush a High Life. Glass bottle, Miller High Life.
There you go.
That.
Glass on the desert.
Glass bottle.
Yeah, it's recyclable.
You can use it to collect rain. That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with my gateway craft beer. I'll go with Dogfish Head 60 Minute. Definitely a little heavy for the beach, but that's one I have really fond memories of. And if I'm stuck on a beach somewhere, might as well be able to enjoy those memories and enjoy some Dogfish Head 60 Minute.
That's a good one. Yeah. If I had to go a little bit more craft, this Sierra Nevada Pale Ale would also suffice.
Yes.
Yeah, both of those guys led the way for craft beer in the U.S. So
Yeah.
Very cool breweries.
Corona 0.0. It's pretty darn good.
It is.
There you
it
go.
is-
Yeah.
It is pretty
It's
good.
refreshing.
Good.
It is refreshing.
The non-alcoholic stuff has
They've
come
come
such a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them are really good.
They really are good. Guys, thanks for coming in today. And, as always, you did a great job. It's always good to have Variant here in the city. But more importantly, it's important that you guys are always plugged in. Thanks for your sponsorship for Summer Sippin' Restaurant Weeks. Again, you guys are a part of the fabric of this community. So thank you for your support from all of us because truly business wouldn't happen the way it happens without entrepreneurs, owners that get involved. And it's more than just making a buck. It's about a better community for our families. Y'all live here. You're plugged in so many different ways. So we appreciate that. We want to thank our guest host.
Pleasure to be here. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for your
Thank you.
support
Thank
from
you.
Wellstar and all you do for our board. Same, Michael.
Absolutely.
For Roswell Economic Development and Tourism because, again, it's all about making sure we got a good quality of life here in Roswell. So as I always say, raise a toast. It's a great day to do business in Roswell, and it's a great day to do business at a brewery.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Thank
Thank
you.
y'all.